Right, today I want to get you thinking about your product lines. What do you want to sell? Um, if you right at the beginning, don't hold back. Just bake for every occasion that you can. Bake every recipe that piques your fancy. Bake for weekend treats for your colleagues at work. Do all your family birthday cakes just to try out and see what works best for you. What are you naturally good at? What do you enjoy making? Most importantly, if you I've got a pricing video, you really need to do your pricing methods and find out what you can make the most money out of, because that is the point of running a business, right? Don't be afraid to niche down. If you make the most amazing brownies, get known for making brownies. You can just have a brownie business. Don't be afraid to, someone asks you for a cornflake tart, you ain't gonna make a cornflake tart. You can just, stick to what you know that you've perfected and what you're good at. So don't be afraid to do that. If get good at selling that one thing, you can always expand later, because then you've got your clients who rave about your brownies, so then it'll be easier to sell cupcakes to them or occasion cakes if you want to branch out. But always lead with your winning products, the products that you enjoy, that you're good at, and that you can make money on. Before you offer to sell something at full price, please have it perfected, absolutely. It sounds so obvious, but in the cake groups, there's always people popping up saying, "Oh, quick, give me a chocolate cake recipe," because they've agreed to take an order on for a chocolate cake and they've never baked one. So why are you selling a chocolate cake if you've never baked it? There'll be messages like, "How do I do this technique? It's going out tomorrow." Why have you accepted that order if you don't know how to do it? I'm all up for challenging yourself, but don't do that. Don't try out on your clients, because your reputation, especially in the beginning, it's so important. And if you only have to make one cock up for someone who's quite vocal about it, and it can really set you back. So please don't, I can't stress enough, don't practice on your paying customers. Don't send a recipe out to be eaten if you haven't already tasted it yourself. Like, I can speak from experience here, because I used to always have this approach of like, just say yes and then quickly find out how to do it. And I can definitely tell you that it definitely did not always work for me. Voice of experience, right? It's so important in your early days. As well, when it comes to finding your recipes, what works for one baker doesn't necessarily work for another. Two very skilled bakers can make exactly the same recipe and have two very different outcomes. One might love it and one absolutely hate it. It depends on what brands of products, brands of ingredients you use, different mixers, temperature of your kitchen at different times of year, different ovens can all bring about very different results. This is why you need to practice and practice and absolutely perfect each recipe before you're selling it. So find out what works for you. Bake for free in return for honest feedback. Give, as painful as it is, give stuff to your fiercest critics, your mother normally. Just take on board what they say. If you love something but other people are saying, "No, it's dry this, no, it's dry this," it's probably dry. You've got to find out what works. Once you have perfected a few recipes, a few products, where are you going to sell them? It's no good if you really want to do farmers markets. There's no point, and that's all you want to do. There's no point in practicing your occasion cakes, because you're not going to take occasion cakes and sell them on farmers markets. It's as simple as that. I have actually got a whole video about markets and pop-up events and things like that. So if you want to watch that to help you decide what to sell, have a look for it. Right, next, don't try and be all things to all people. You can spend months being pulled all over the place and completely losing your direction. Remember that you're in it to make money. If you want to try something new, obviously go for it, but just try and rein it in and concentrate on selling these items that are making you the money. Try and stick to just a few core products and just do them really well. It's so easy to be dragged off in different directions, right? It happens to me all the time, especially as I've changed areas that I've worked in and I've changed premises and things like that. And I have to kind of rein my clients and myself back in. to get back to my brand. I was never meant to be like a fondant celebration cake business, but because I do them well, I get asked for them all the time, and I upset people by saying no, and I feel guilty. But the fact of the matter is, fondant cakes are not where I thrive. They're not what I enjoy, and because I'm such a perfectionist and I'm so anxious about it, I'll spend hours on cakes and I just don't make the money that I need to. So for me, for my personal way that I work and my headspace, I don't do fondant cakes. Right, consulting my notes. Right. So please consider we've got a natural seasonality to our business as well. Remember that your decisions on your product lines, they're not set in stone, you can vary it. If you do offer occasion cakes all year, you don't have to do them on weeks like Valentine's and Mother's Day and at Christmas, because you might spend a full day doing a fondant cake and not, you might not make a decent wage, you might not even break even on it, depending on where you are at in your head and in your business. So instead of spending a whole day on a 2-tier cake, you can spend a whole day knocking out cupcakes and make a hell of a lot more money. So do think about that, and just know that you can turn down certain cakes for certain times of year, if they're going to be energy suckers, or if you're not going to make the money on them. Because how are you going to handle your Christmas orders if everybody wants a bit of everything? You're going to be up till all, you're better off just offering a few different products and just sticking to them. Turn down anything else. Double check your pricing. Get rid of the poor items. It's okay to drop an item if you decide that it's not being successful for your business. Everyone wanted Cakesicles, didn't they? And then the complaints started rolling in because the clients didn't realise what the filling was, the truffle cake filling. They were thinking they were just spongy inside, and so people started complaining. So anything like that that's kind of hard to explain to your customers, and if it's going to cause you hassle down the line, it's absolutely acceptable to drop that product from your business. Do what works for you, and what works for you isn't necessarily what works for anybody else. So I hope that I've given you plenty to think about there, and not mashed your brain too much. Write down your top 5 products that you would love to sell, and then rein it in. Work out what you can produce really well. If you just do a brownie business, you can really streamline how you do things. You can streamline your packaging that you need, your shelf space, and your headspace as well. If you want to do a bit of everything, do it. Just get a structure in place and a strategy in place so that you can do that and still make plenty of money. So think about your sanity and think about your income mainly when it comes to your product lines. Hope that's helped.